Have you ever wondered what life sounds like without the world in it? Welcome to BeWise podcast and welcome to the Sound of Silence series. I'm Belyse, and today we're going to be taking a step away from the world, away from updates, away from constant applause, and away from always being on and updated. You and I know very well that we live in a world that is constantly bombarded and curated to have noise, chaos, constant news, constant updates, and the best and powerful thing you can do for yourself and for anyone around you is one thing, and that is being silent. Silence is the loudest thing in the room, actually. Most people are like, I need to be loud and all that, but being silent gives you clarity, it gives you answers, and it gives you direction. And this leads me to my next question for you. Genuinely speaking, have you taken time to actually zoom out? When I say zoom out, I don't mean just taking a break, being on a social media detox. I mean actually zooming out, having that bird eye view of your life, seeing your journey, seeing the timeline of what you have done, how you got to where you're at right now, what caused you to get to where you're at, and also the desires and things that you want to achieve in life. That requires silence, and it requires silence for you to adjust those things, because the problem with the world today, which I have taken time to analyze, is the problem is that it's not that we're lost. It's not like we don't know what we want. The problem is that we're too zoomed in. For example, on social media, we're living in a world where it's like every like feels like love. Every comment that someone says, whether good or bad, it sounds like it's the truth. And also we're living in a world where if someone goes silent on you, God knows what they're dealing with or what they're working on, you take it as rejection. Why? Because everything is becoming too close to you. You're too zoomed in. But do you ever take time to actually zoom out and focus on your life and realize that you get to a point where you realize that these things don't actually matter? They don't affect you because it's all in your head, but because your internal world is very loud and constantly chaotic, it becomes like everything's about you. Me, personal attack. But no, there's a bigger map. You start to see things like a map. Instead of the situation you're in, you see the whole journey, why you got to where you're at, everything that you're working on. Even you start to think of things you haven't thought of, whether it be your talents, your strengths, or better things you can achieve in life. But that will not be possible when we are in a world that is constantly and curated to always be loud. And to be specific, honestly, you are not what happened to you. You are what you do next. Okay, something might happen in the past that is not pleasant, but what you do, the decision you make today is what makes it even much more stronger. So you are what you do next. That is the next decision you make, and that is the next steps you take with your life. Choosing silence in this world, like I said, doesn't come naturally. It's not passive, it's not active. It is one thing that is very important, and that is it's deliberate. It's actually something you have to condition your mind and tell yourself that I have to do it. Otherwise, we will go crazy in a world that we live in, okay? If you don't fall into it, you have to fight for it. It's not something that you will fall into, honestly. It's not going to happen just right away. You have to fight for it. You have to kind of take some time off and breathe and understand. Because if we are looking at it for the way it is, we're living in a world that is teaching us some things that are wrong. And silence challenges those aspects. It challenges the fact that, for example, the world tells us that when you have visibility, that's when you're valuable. But no, I know a lot of people that are not out there, but they are valuable. They have created internal value for themselves. We also live in a world that tells us that only when you're loud is when you're heard. That is not true. You can be heard without being loud, or even by being silent, and someone can hear you clearly. But the way the world is conditioning us, which is why we create platforms like this, that we learn and reflect, it's a bit scary if we stay in this dynamic of things. And if you look at it, things are changing day and night. Technology is changing. Information is changing. There's always something. And I've tried to take a minute to sit and be a brain for like 2 minutes. Imagine you're the brain, and every second you're taking information, you're trying to process it, you're getting opinion, and then the next one you see someone who is happy, the next one you see something that is negative, or you hear someone who makes a comment, someone who justifies what you're feeling, someone who is against it. The brain gets clogged. But do we ever take time to actually step away and understand the dangers of these things? We also live in a world that tells us that when you're not on the algorithm, you don't exist, you're not important. That is a complete lie. So choosing silence for yourself is one of the best things you can do for yourself. When you go silent, you're not just disappearing. You're protecting something that is really, really important. And that is what I like to call your sacred self. Your sacred self is that part that makes decisions. However, it is the untouched, unfiltered. It is the version of you that is still pure and real, that it still dreams. It's the part of you that still questions, that has an opinion, that asks itself, what do you want to achieve? And it's the real part of you, before the noise, before the internet came and told you how you're supposed to live, what it means, what you're living, how you're going to be successful. How did people do it in the past without all this bombarding of information? Now we're living in a loud world. So choosing silence is literally like choosing a room in a building that is full of mirrors. Okay, you look left, there's a mirror, up, down, left, every corner there is a mirror, and that part helps you gain clarity of yourself. You see yourself for who you are, and you're like, okay, these are my weaknesses. What can I do better? What decisions? Like I said before, you are not what happened to you, you are what you do next. So you make better decisions and you adapt better habits. When I speak of noise, maybe we might confuse it that I'm just talking about the internet. There is two types, to be specific. Let's get a little bit deeper. There is the noise of the world, which is social media, comments, matrix, noise of the news, politics, chaos happening in the world. And then there is the noise of the soul. Digest that a little bit. This is the inner critique of yourself, the one that comes and tells you, oh, you're not enough. Who do you think you are? You think you can achieve that? If the other person did it, what makes you think you're so different that you can achieve it? No. And then there's also that part that tells you, you should do more. What you're doing is not enough. And yet, to be honest, you're in a season of planting and you should see the harvest maybe in 8 or 6 months, but your brain tells you you need the harvest right now. Yet everything, as we know, which we have talked about before, is there is seasons for everything that we're working on or we're doing or whatever point in life we are on. So when you look at that soul's noise, that is the scariest one. That is the deepest one if we look at it. But here's the trick. If you listen long enough, of course, by being silent, it's going to lose its grip. It's going to lose its strength, and then you're going to start to have that real voice of yours, because the other one gets quiet. Now you see things for the real part, the one that shows you actually what you're supposed to do. But when you're bombarded with a lot of things from the world, it affects that soul's noise as well. So it comes in very soft, subtle, sometimes a bit scared, but it's wise and it's real. But it's not going to come until you give it time, until you make room for it from within. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes when I speak, people think I'm just saying this. I've practiced this for myself. Sometimes you actually have to take time from seeing people, from being connected to the world, from being around certain circles, certain comments, and being alone. And I have tried it, and I always gain a different perspective. And when you find yourself having a negative attitude, you meet some people who are always negative, cranky and all that. Sometimes their soul is very loud, and all these things, they're projecting them on other people in the world, which is a scary aspect. So take some time and see what is loud in your life and kind of adjust to that. So when it comes to silence, let's be realistic. People think it's empty, it's boring. But no, that is where the answers are at. It's like a workshop. It's like a lab where you now curate and you choose which thoughts you're going to have, what habits you want to build that are going to help you propel yourself. And you detach yourself from habits and things that are keeping you small. You detach from things that are stopping you from becoming the better version of yourself. And that is where the power is at. Once you learn to tap into that, you become unstoppable. That is where transformation happens. Because now you ask yourself, what are my beliefs? What do I want to become? Who am I trying to be? What do I want internally and for myself and for my family and those that I love, my beloved ones? What can I do about it? But you're not going to be able to achieve that when you're too loud, when you're in a world that is loud, when you're loud within, when your critique is a lot. Of course, it requires a lot of habits, but silence is the loudest thing you can do. Being loud, honestly, even when you meet people who are loud, there's nothing wise about it. One of the smartest things is learn to keep quiet. Learn to keep quiet from within and learn to keep quiet also outside. And you will realize over time, it's not overnight, you realize a lot about yourself. But guess what? On this journey, nobody's going to clap for you. No one's going to congratulate you that, oh, Belyse, you're doing an amazing job. Keep it up. No, you get away for a while, but when you come back, people will ask you, oh my God, how come you're so peaceful? How do you seem so unbothered? How do you do it? They will not understand that journey because majority of the time they subtracted that part from you. It might be those people that actually subtracted or they were not with you. This is an independent journey. It's a thing you do by looking at yourself in the mirror. You do a reflection, like I said, holistically. You have that zoomed out view of your life and you're like, what do I need to change? Where am I going wrong? What do I need to stop? Do I need a break for a month, for 3 weeks, for 3 months? For whatever timeline that you need for you to get back to that sacred self that we were talking about. So take a break today. That is the homework. Take a break today. Close the apps. Leave the drama. Step away from the dramatic people and plug from trying to perform to show the world that you're up to date and making all these. Let's say you're in that phase of saying I need to make more content because the world is doing it. No, let it be authentic. That's why sometimes when inauthenticity is there, you can feel it. And when someone is authentic, you can feel it in the way they present. They're not faking it. So take time to listen to your breath, to your thoughts, to the silence, and whatever is going on and whatever you want to achieve. You will be surprised. You might be scary sometimes, but it's okay. You might be scared to see the other parts of you. Like I said, it's like a mirror, an internal mirror that you see things. You might not be ready, but it comes with a reward because now that's where acceleration comes and growth happens. Do not stop this journey because it's an amazing one. This is the beginning of the Sound of Silence series, but on next week, we will be talking about what happens next after taking that silence. Sometimes doubt comes in, the fear, you want to perform again, you want to get back to being loud again, but for now, just start your disappearance journey. Not physically, but from within. Take time and learn. On the next episode, we're going to be diving deeper into this. So stay wise, stay silent, and continuously keep becoming because that is the best gift you can give yourself. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and thank you for watching.